All right, all right. Hello, hello. Welcome everyone back to a holiday edition of the Happy Hour show. Nice shirt over there, Mr. Funding Jim. And Freddie Quotes down below. How you doing?
Rocking and rolling, brother. How are you?
Under the weather. I talked in last week's show that I was going to try to fight off the massive rounds of influenza that were circling me, and I did not succeed. And a couple days later, came down with it and fighting through it. So you might be able to hear some of that and some throat clearing. I apologize in advance, but getting better, getting better. And I know Funding Jim, you're dealing with a little bit of the same there, aren't you?
Yeah, I don't know if it's the same bug, but maybe I'm on the 6th or 7th day. I think it started on the 8th.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
It's like a long lasting, I mean, it's not anything terrible, but at the same time, it's just like it's slow to go away, I guess. But
Do you guys take zinc?
yep.
Do you?
Okay. I took a ton. I mean, it's all the over-the-counter stuff like the vitamin C and the zinc, whenever you first feel the sniffles coming on.
Yep.
I did a batch of that. And, I'm old, so I figure what hasn't killed me already so far in life, probably this won't kill me too. So I kind of try to, usually try to walk it off or gut it out. And my immune system seems to be fighting it off fine now. So I'm on the last day of it, I think.
I think we got Delta around the same time. And I think if you make it through that, like this is a cakewalk. I mean, we both made it through that at that time, and if I recall correctly, and so this is a relative cakewalk. I mean, I had 104-degree fever, but it didn't feel the same as the vid at all. So it's a very different kind of illness. But
the vid was more of my event was the Vegas event, and my biggest thing was yes, I had a fever. A small one, light one. I never lost taste and never lost smell, but it was just choking events. It just felt like I was constantly choking. This isn't that. This is just probably just normal influenza. It's just been so long since I had one.
Yep.
Gary, if you bounce back as quickly or as good as you did from that, then I think we'll be all right. You were just like a completely different person after that, man.
It gave me superpowers. I think I lost like maybe 12 or 13 pounds during that time, and then right afterward I felt like I was on meth or something. I was just super energy. I don't know what was the deal.
Hopefully awesome. I'll feel that meth feeling soon enough, so we'll see. But yeah, what else who we got in here? Let's bring up straight from the plane, not quite like Big Kurkowski, but Motley Investor, how you doing today? Good to see you.
He's got the whole plane to himself. That's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
Them hex gains flying private, I guess. But this is actually
wait. I see a redhead in the back there. That must be Rags. Ginger's only flight.
He must be somewhere warm. He doesn't look like he's flying out of DC there.
No. I think he's headed to a warm place in the States, if I recall his schedule correctly. But we'll see where he ends up. But yeah, shout out to Motley. I guess he just took off. He was in the chat there. Big K, I think, is trying to get in, and Motley just telegram me, private my ass, lol. So yeah, anyway. All right. Play to talk about. So we had, I guess, a surprise kind of like live stream with it was Paul Barron with Richard Hart. So if you haven't seen it, check it out. I guess it was like 30-40 minutes. I don't even recall. It was a couple hours ago. For everyone yearning to see the founder and to hear from him and any updates, it's like Funding Jim was saying in the green room, kind of more of the same. No, huge revelations or anything like that. But again, good, I guess, just for the community, some people in the community to actually see his face and know that he didn't run away or whatever weird thoughts some people have right now because of the bear market and the impatience or lack of patience or wearing out of patience, waiting for PulseChain updates, V3. Anything that you gleaned from that there, Funding Jim?
Oh, well, I watched the stream. And again, like we talked about, double speak. So I was trying to make sure I watched it before this this event. And I didn't gather a lot more new detail. It was basically the same hyper confident, personality on screen with another person that has a pretty big audience. And I did want to make a small comment that the audience, at least the subscribership for that channel, was 350,000, I think. And it's people that are not Hexagon, they're not familiar necessarily with Richard Hart. They are basically his target. If he's going to spend time to create content, and as he commented on the show, was he's doing it from a laptop. He has to have dual stream technology with him while he's doing his travelings and things like that. And I just wanted to say that because there's a lot of people that would love to have an interview with Richard, and there's a lot of people that have had a lot of length of time or at least proximity that say, hey, can he be on my channel? Can I get this guy on my channel? Why can't I get this guy on my channel when I can get other people on my channel? They have big audiences and they're leaders in crypto as well. Why can't that happen? And I just want to point out, don't take it personally. Don't take it as a personal assault that Richard isn't jumping on your hex themed content necessarily. He has said for many years now that he needs to talk to people that are outside of his sphere of influence. You think he's doing outrage marketing for your entertainment? No, he's doing it to touch other markets and other audiences and other eyes that have no idea who he is. And I think that needs to be reemphasized. Again, today was a channel. I don't know how much content they've ever had. I never have watched their channel before, but they do have a significant subscribership. There were 1,800 or something live, I think, during the stream that were watching. And probably a majority of those are people interested in PulseChain, PulseX, Hex, what's going on with Richard. It's a retweet from a retweeted stream link that made me go to the channel in the first place, right? So I watched it because I'm interested. But you got to think, maybe he gets to 50 or 100 or a couple of hundred other people live that have nothing to do with anything that in crypto. And maybe he gets to tens of thousands, in the replay over the next weeks and months that have nothing to do with our community. So if you can have that kind of reach outside of what you already do in content creation, great. Richard probably wants to jump on your channel, but don't be offended if, him turning around and singing to the choir, it feels like a personal affront. Just don't feel that way. It's not his goal.
I would love to see an Andrew Tate and Richard Hart stream. I think that would be awesome.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't spoken directly with Andrew directly, but 3, maybe 4 of his closest. Justin Waller is a Hexagon. He's on the show all the time with Andrew. I've spoken to other people that are in the same quote unquote war room. There is great content to be shared between the themes of Andrew Tate. I saw Freddie's comment on a tweet, actually. I think it was an Andrew Tate tweet, and I saw your response.
I should have tagged you. I don't think that I tagged you on there, did I?
You might have. I can't remember.
I try to tag everyone who I know has those ties, like you, DC, Dollar Cost, and Rational Mail, and there were some other people on there. Oh, I think Fresh and Fit too. Just trying to get people who he's streamed with to kind of get that engagement, and maybe they'll comment and make something happen. I don't know. Yeah,
I mean, a big thing is, again, I try to talk about this, but it's hard. It's a hard topic, which is edification. Edification doesn't mean kissing someone's ass. That's not what it means. It doesn't mean this person, you've got to talk to them because they're so glorious. It means that you think that they have a specific niche bit of information or bit of experience that you don't have, that you don't directly have. And so if you're going to tag, which would be great to tag in a response, but he's not going to know a Twitter handle from a hole in the wall. If he sees a photo and the photo is me and Justin Waller, there's photos available. I just was with him at dinner maybe 8 days ago or 10 days ago in Miami. And the next day is Justin Waller's birthday, right? And he had a birthday event. Michael Sartain flew in from Las Vegas. So it's the association that usually means that people will take a look. It's the same thing with what's his name? Rich Dad Poor Dad guy. So he doesn't look at everybody's 10,000 real estate projects. He doesn't look at everybody's financial content that they have as IP and the books that they want to write similar to him. He doesn't look at any of those things. He doesn't look at cryptos outside of Bitcoin necessarily, unless there is proximity. Someone within his 5 to 10 person friend circle that he's had for years, he feels like that's the line of defense, right? So if you're inside of that circle and through that association, and then's when you get the content. So Dollar Cost has done great, and you probably have him on his show. Dollar Cost has done great in an honest and genuine way, because he does talk about all kinds of cryptos that have nothing to do with hex, which some hexagons don't like that, but he also has onboarded around 8,000 new hexagons over the past 2 years.
Yep.
Right? And he commits them to staking. So there's a trade-off a little bit about like cross community promotion. And similarly, he's gotten very involved with all of the red pill communities and all the things that have this, these audiences that have nothing to do with Richard and probably wouldn't relate to Richard necessarily. There's certain characteristics that Andrew and Richard have in common, and there's vast differences between them as well, right? So bridges are going to be people that are, they are genuinely and honestly acting as a bridge. They're not saying, hey, how can I get inside and fuck up the other team? They're saying, how can I actually build some solid relation between these two communities? That's really the thing.
Yeah.
Okay, how you doing, man?
Oh, I'm hanging out, enjoying myself, listening, and enjoying the content. How are y'all doing?
Doing well.
Well, we were just
wine or any libations. What's going on?
I got a big glass of water here, but then I also do have some mezcal here as well. So it's fantastic. You know how you can tell really good tequila and mezcal is because they look like the most generic bottles in the world. Like the ones that are all fancy and diamond whatever's usually are all hype, and you go to Mexico and you go to somewhere small where they've got some good, a place where they've got a good selection. Like the best stuff is always like the most basic stuff. This one does have the scorpion somewhere in it that we'll get down to him eventually, but not yet. We'll just rattle off a little nip of this for everybody here.
I saw the scorpion in there.
Oh yeah, he's in there.
Do you actually eat that guy when it gets down to it?
I mean, you can. I mean, it's usually one of those situations where the guy who gets or gal who ingests the worm or scorpion is already pretty turnt, so like it's somebody else is like, hey, you should do that, and inhibitions are where they should.
I think I will. Sure, I'll have a scorpion.
I used to hear there's a hallucinogen inside of the worm. Is that a true thing, or is that just bullshit?
I mean, so what it is supposedly, I believe, like the wormwood stuff. It's like the same like stuff that's in that's like what's in
what's that green one? Absinthe?
Yeah, absinthe. So like, yes, it's some insane levels of intoxicate. Like if you're like extracting it, whatever, maybe it is hallucinogen. I mean, just like apparently nutmeg is at some sort of insane dosage or something, but like who's eating 7 ground nutmegs at a time? It's just like a painful experience to go through that. So no, I'm not saying it's not, but it's like celery has a dental anesthetic in it. It's like slightly numbs your mouth. It's not, you don't want to get your tooth pulled out or anything on it, but it's it's in there. Anywho. What you were talking about was much more interesting than my musings. Wanted
to say hello to some in the chat. Miss Jenna, good to see you. Thanks for joining us. Blockaroni, what's going on? We got Vets in Crypto, Cashew, Lights Out. Again, I apologize for my voice. Who else we got? Footsteps is in here. Mel Tony. Thank you very much for joining. And where is Mr. DJ Cryptomatic? Yes, indeed, the raid was on. So they raided over from Twitch. And a quick plug, and I'll try to remind ourselves to do this throughout the show. If you enjoyed DJ Cryptomatic's Christmas, what do we call it, hextacular last year. It was a 2-3 hour show, and it was over on Twitch, his channel, and it was, you know, full of Christmas cheer, tunes, season's greetings from all of your favorite Hex, PulseChain personalities. He's doing that again this year, and that will be this coming Thursday at 3 p.m. Eastern. So I'm going to try to throw a banner up here just to remind everybody of that. But it was a fun time last year. I'll never forget. It was like hundreds of people checking it out at one time. The chat was on fire. And I know it was a bull market and this is a bear market. So, you know, why not show up, hang out, and be around a bunch of positive vibes that are in season? And yeah, definitely check it out. So it's next Thursday at 3 p.m. Eastern. So shout out to DJ Cryptomatic for that.
Is that Vince's, Jenna?
Yeah, I was about to say the same thing. Oh my God, it's the same exact question.
So I think I read a headline that the XRP lawsuit got settled today, or it's all done. Is that true, or was that old news that I saw?
Definitely not old news, but I have not seen anything yet. Maybe somebody in the chat.
It was over, but I don't know that they've come to determination. Like maybe they've stopped the new information into the case, but the case is
it's just
no result.
Rumored. Like the big rumor now is like, when's it going to be settled? So
so there's a motion filed on a much speculated settlement date, is what like an article seems to say. So it seems as if maybe based on, you know, whatever the Twitter net says, that maybe there's going to be a date soon to know something.
Was that but again, I think I heard other feedback, and again, it's so much noise inside of Twitter, was why would they go all this distance? And then I don't think that Twitter or the XRP people are saying, here's the date and we're going to make a settlement offer on this day. I don't think that that's the case. I think an offer on a date was made, and then the speculation is, why would they go this distance and not the last bit of the trial or something like that?
Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
Yeah, and
I mean, if there's I guess if the SEC gave him a deal that was, you know, as light as humanly possible, you know, something that was like a serious out. I mean, because if the settlement deal was like something shitty, I mean, you'd imagine that, you know, that like they wouldn't. Yeah, exactly. But again, this is you know, this is all just the musings of the mezcal.
A new show on Netflix, right?
Yeah, I'm working on it. But yeah, I mean, it's the announcement of a possible announcement, so that's cool. It's pretty typical crypto.
And speaking of Netflix, while we have you here, Big K, any latest highest of stakes, or just kind of like, yeah, we're just cruising along, waiting for things to be signed, done? You know, I'm just chilling. I will, you know, like I said, if there's something that I know that you know that I should know that we all should know, I'll tell y'all. But like I'm just chilling. So no words yet. Like I said, hopefully you know, we hear something someday. But I'm excited. Like I said, where we're at, super awesome, and everything went super well with the first batch of all those kick-ass the memorabilia stuff. So it's cool too. So onward we go. Good. I like it. What else we got going on here? So past couple weeks we've had Buck Fiat on talking some famous. So they're obviously doing Fiat, which is for Vave, and then famous for leverage trading. Funding Jim, I don't think we ever got your take on that. Did you participate in either or both, and you have any thoughts on those platforms?
So Richard didn't have a lot of history with me in 2018. I didn't have any history with him. I had a growing sense about the community, and then I liked that the code was launched and audited and all those things before I tiptoed back into crypto, so to speak, from the 17 into 18. And then we've had this great run over the past 3 years, flawless code in the Hex code itself, growth of the community, all the narrative around a product should live and thrive in the wild or die in the wild. And I like that a lot. When it comes to the different sacrifices that have been outside of PulseChain and PulseX, very clearly, I have not participated in a single sacrifice whatsoever outside of PulseChain and PulseX. It's the only ones I care about. And the reason that I cared about them so much is because I do like Hex a lot. And I do think that it was being hampered by high transaction costs during the bull and the Ethereum gas cost. So I like the idea of sacrificing for freedom of movement, freedom of speech, those narratives. If an airdrop happens out of that, then that's wonderful. And that's the only sacrifice I plan to do in the future. If something comes out and it's amazing and it's fantastic, and they say our code is the same as this other thing that's been audited on a different chain, and that has flawlessly worked, and we're just going to basically snap our fingers and put it on PulseChain, I still am not personally sacrificing. That's not for me. It's not adding to the narrative of a yield generating, hold your own keys, trustless contract the way the Hex does. So no, I haven't. Now, do I like fiat and the different things, even like Hedron, or do I like this other thing's coming out very soon, I think, which is internet money and what KG has been doing? Yes, I definitely do. I like a lot of the vertical scaling of this ecosystem in general, and things that add to that and support community adoption and low transaction costs and increased security and safety. I'm all for, and I would buy off of the market. When the market exists, the coin exists, the audit has happened. There's been some pioneers that say, yeah, it works the way that it was supposed to, then I'm all for supporting these derivatives. That's my answer.
There you have it. Big K.
I like free coins.
Yeah.
So you know me. I don't like to spend a lot on things, so I'm not like paying for, there's a lot of these projects. There's a ton. I mean, like we talked about it with fiat and when Buck was on, that like you go to that one site where they've got all the things that are on Pulse, and there's a lot of stuff that's coming on Pulse, and there's not much that no offense to y'all builders, I hold you in my heart dearly, but like I also am probably not buying 98% of the things that I see being launched. Now, do I like what these guys are doing? It does look cool, but God help you if you give me free coins, I will dump the shit out of those.
There you go. And Freddie, did you participate in either?
I did not, no. And I have the same opinion that these guys have. I appreciate everything everyone's doing for the community. There's a couple of tokens that I hold, and you talk about a coin on a stream, and then people are like, "Oh, you're a shill, you're this, you're that." There's a couple that I do support, but I've never. Well, I can't say never. I did sack for pleb, just because Hexy Bastard's the man. But that's the only one that I've ever sacrificed for was poor pleb, believe it or not. So, but I can't wait to see all the other stuff come out and get vetted. And I'm not the code guy. I'm not the technical guy. I don't. They can say whatever they want, but until I can go in and see it or whatever, or have people verify that it is good, like Funding Jim said, have it vetted by the community, then I'll probably get in. And if I'm not the earliest guy in, I'm okay with that. I just want to make sure that everything's on the up and up, and I trust all of those guys. I don't think there's I don't think these guys who have been around in the community for a very long time would ever try to throw shade or do anything to screw Hexicans, but just don't know enough about it to sack for it.
Yeah, I made the same comment, and actually I don't have any poor pleb. I didn't sacrifice for it. I don't think I qualified anyway as far as his setup, but I did get a T-shirt at his party in Vegas, and I did wear the T-shirt. That's the poor pleb T-shirt.
I think that was Orangutan passing those out. Was it, or Matt Phoenix? It was either Phoenix or Orangutan passing those. I got one too, and I wore it. I wore it on stream once, and a lot of people got mad that I was shilling shit coins. I was like, whatever.
I went up to visit.
Like, be mad. Like,
you can't please everybody, as we know from
like, come on,
an infamous segment we did on this show called the Lightning Round. And if you if you say you don't like something, man, you'll really get a new one ripped on you in Twitter. So yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And it's funny because at the event, the London anniversary event, like after that was complete, I think it was after I went up to visit Hexy Bastard. I liked his character and his personality from his streams back in that time. And I went up and visited him, and I said, man, you've got to make sure that you make some cartoon out of this headgear thing that you've got going. Don't ever lose that. That's like your...
He needs to market that, yeah.
You got to market it. And yeah, I liked his character and persona. And so when he was launching his own thing, I was like, you know, it's a meme coin. Not going to neg it at all. It's a meme coin. And I thought it was entertaining as long as the memes are funny and they're in good spirit. It's kind of like the Shillem Dafoe guy. Like, I like Shillem Dafoe a lot. I support anything he does. And I like the guy a ton. But it's like, it's the comedy, you know, ribbing that is entertaining. There are other meme coins, even inside the RH community, but they're not as meme, funny, feel good. You know, I've got, you know, a few of these, you know, stashed away, you know, thing to it. So I like the comedy. We need more levity in this game.
Yeah, I like that take on things.
I was talking to Shillem today. He's awesome. Good dude. You know, blue collar guy, works real hard in his day job and lives his life, and, you know, somehow pops up on lists. Oh gosh. Yeah,
well, speaking of those lists, I mean, just painting with a broad brush, I know Funding Jim has, you know, had, I guess, his own thoughts about how to go about this in terms of, I guess, counsel. And that side of things. Some say, well, you know, I've heard the school of thought to where it's like, well, I would rather not pool resources together, because what if somebody did something bad and then I'm lumped in with them, which I don't think anybody here has done anything. Correct. Not here, but on any lists or what have you, has done anything wrong or anything. It's just a giant fishing expedition. Versus pulling resources together and maintaining some kind of benefit from there. Could you speak on that just a little bit there, Funding Jim?
So just keep in mind, I connected the legal team to one that Hexo and Kinetics have. I connected them, but I'm not represented. I can't speak to what they're actually doing. I don't know what their actual numbers are. I know that there's been an address that's been published, and you know, a solicitation basically for funding, and then it goes to all of the ambiguity that I don't like to comment on, because it's not, I can't control the purse string. I have nothing to do with the purse string or the billables that a typical law group charges. Just as an example, a typical law group, and others can go out and do your own research. Not this particular one, but a typical law group is between 700 to 900 per hour. And that means a 5-minute phone call that you think is only 5 minutes. It's 5 minutes of you telling your story and 5 minutes of them giving you an answer. It's probably billed at half an hour, probably. It means every bit of document that you send, and you say, yeah, I've got to send a funnel of, you know, all my bank transactions, all of my different, you know, to comply with a letter from the SEC. Everything that gets basically sent, whether it actually is reviewed by the lawyer or not, it's going to be billed as being reviewed, right? And so every document, every you know, because they basically have their own liabilities, their own malpractice, their own, you know, loss of livelihood if they mess up, right? So that's what you're buying when you're paying 700 to 900 or whatever it is per hour, is their risk of malpractice. That's what they are doing. When it comes to a general fund, I don't really like that. I know that it gets proposed, and I'm not trying to cause muddy water by saying it shouldn't be supported. I'm saying if people want to donate to something, whether it's the Girl Scouts of America or it's your local veteran fund or, you know, ambiguous whatever charity, you don't know where those funds go to, and you don't expect hyper accountability for the dollars that go to your neighborhood fund or whatever your neighborhood charity is. Usually you don't even get a report. Maybe you do quarterly, and it's just numbers on a page to you. It doesn't mean a lot what the Red Cross did with your money. So if you have it in a certain mind frame, you say, hey, I'm going to donate just because I choose to donate, and I don't have hyper expectation, and I don't expect that they are fighting for my particular letter that comes in the mail in 2 weeks, right? You don't have that expectation. Do what you want to do with your own money, just like you would buy anything in the material world or service in the material world or donate how you choose to. But with that said, if I'm going to donate to something, I do want accountability. I want to know, here is what the bill was. Here's how much it short fell. Here's how much was overage. Here's where these funds are going to go, over the course of some amount of time. Here's what the objective is. Here's what the goal is. I want to know that defined if I'm going to particularly, directly donate or fund a pool, right, of money. Even though I'm in blockchain and I love blockchain, I still live in the legacy world, and I know that there are GoFundMes that have more accountability, and there is KYC that goes along with it. There is AML. There's something I can show my CPA about where the money went, So I do like a little bit more of the black and white world of legacy. So if I'm going to support something, I support people all the time on YouTube through Super Chats or all the time on Patreon because it's accountable, or PayPal or Venmo or Cash App, because it's accountable in my books. I don't really try to mess around with Ethereum addresses very much. So that's my slant on that part. But people need to choose what they're going to do themselves. I saw that there's a list of 59 or 60 Twitter handles. I know my own DMs have been blowing up over the past 2 days. And the big thing is, you have opportunity that comes along with responsibility. And opportunity is, did I do my own research in general about what I'm going to do with my money? Do I expect a return? What investment did I make of my time and my savvy, or checking with my peers to see if this is a good decision? Like, you have to do that with this legal stuff too. I appreciate counsel. And if I was going to need representation, which again, I still haven't had need yet, but if I have need, I would participate myself with Hexo because I know the law group. The law group is Robert Barnes. Robert Barnes represented Kyle Rittenhouse. He represented Wesley Snipes. He got Wesley Snipes down from like 140 million or something down to like 8 million, and reduced his time when he got brought onto the case. He currently has a lawsuit against the Federal Reserve. George Gammon has him hired for that. He is, one of the lead counsels for some of these other big players outside of cryptocurrency for sure. So I like his team, but he's also expensive. He has a risk. His risk is that Bitcoiners love him. Bitcoiners don't necessarily love Hex. So he takes us on as a client, or takes Hexo and the team, their pool, on as pooled, retained, right, retainer, then his risk is brand, and it's not dollars he chases after. He doesn't chase after dollars the same way. He does go after these social freedom causes, and that's one of the reasons he's willing to take on hexologists and kinetics and so forth that you've heard about. So if I were to participate, I would participate with them. But yeah, that's kind of my rant on it. Like, people have to make up their own decisions about whether this is going to be a chilling effect and people just don't talk as openly as they have in the past, or they actually want to, stand for a freedom. And should that freedom be, you think that this is a commodity, you think that this has merit, you think that you control your own keys in code and interact with it accordingly, you paint your own pony picture, whatever. Like, you should do your own research according to your belief system, and then put your money where your mouth is at. That's my stance.
There's no chilling here. Well, I mean, we're just chilling together.
That's all I'm doing, man.
Yeah,
all day.
That's our chilling effect. I mean, we haven't gone anywhere.
Yeah.
This guy over here, that's all he does is chill.
I do want to hear more of Freddie though. Like it's rare that I get to have a communication directly with Freddie. We've had anxiety in the past when we didn't get to see face to face, and then when we saw each other in Vegas, I thought it was one of the best events for me because I got to spend so much time with Freddie. So I really value Freddie's opinion a lot.
I kind of feel the same way, man. Like, you know, you got to do your research. If it's something you want to contribute to, go to it. I don't specifically. I'm not going to donate to the fund or whatever, just simply because I know this is a big nothing burger. There's no reason, I think, for Hexicans to start going at and trying to get, you know, whatever type of statement they may be trying to get, or when there's an ongoing investigation. I don't think that we're going to get a statement from when there's an ongoing investigation going on. I think everyone's money would just be more best spent buying Hex at 2.5 cents. You're going to get a better return on that. But hey, if people want to do it, then it's their right to do with their money what they want to do with their money, right? So I'm glad that you have an awesome attorney that you have contacts with that you can help the community with. That's legit.
Yeah. I mean, and again, I want to echo that same sentiment. If you just got involved with cryptocurrency recently, you've seen only down in the past year or so as the whole market has fallen in general, right? You know, your speculative play, maybe there's been some part of it. He says, hey, that seems like a freedom and seems like, you know, I don't want banks and middlemen, you know, interacting with my idea of money. Yeah, that might have been a great entrance into the cryptocurrency market, right? And then you do see price change. You see price because, you know, bull markets and bear markets are cycles. They're real things. So if you don't feel that you have overage, whether it's in your crypto speculation or in your other business speculation or cash flow, don't do stuff like this. Like don't give away money that you need for other things. And secondly is I do agree with what Steph said recently in his Twitters, which is, you know, if you're in the bottom of a bear market and you do believe in the product itself, whatever the product is, and you say, hey, this is where I make my money, which is buying at the bottoms. Like that's where your capital is going to go 20x at the least if you go back to an all-time high, right? So your best opportunity for your speculative money is probably in the bottom of bears. You know, if you speculate in stock, bottom of bear in stock sounds like a good time to buy the stock you care about if they deliver product and service that you think the market will value again. So same thing with real estate, same with any other speculative play. So I totally agree with what Freddie says about and what Steph says about, you know, bears and bottoms are probably where your capital is best deployed, right? If it is, you know, if it is something you believe in as a cause, again, I have no qualms about requiring specific accountability for any funds that go to a donation address. I really don't. You know, if I've made up my mind recently. I used to, you know, super chat like random celebrities on YouTube and things like that with the big thing about Hex, or, you know, take a look, you know, you should interview Richard, and they talk about the $500 I gave them or whatever, right? Because it gets that celebrity and that celebrity's audience's eyes.
I think we're all still waiting for Ben Mala.
Yeah,
like
Ben Mala, right?
Everyone super chatted that dude. Like, come on, get with Richard. Yeah. Let's go Hex.
And he's done it several times. He's talked about Hex. He says, I should have got Hex. I should have got Hex. Someone should have made me buy Hex, right? But that doesn't have real ROI, you know. So for me, what I want to do in sponsorship is if people are making, like, I think I'm going to only do Patreon from now on, and it's only going to be Patreon for people's channels that, one, they're not TA, they're not just chatter about Hex or the RH ecosystem either. We have plenty of volunteerism for that, those ramblings. But it is people that are very specific and say, like DJ Cryptomatic, how the fuck do you get all that stuff into your Twitch screen? You know, somebody else like Hexologist, he does all of his beautiful like presentation, great mic, great sound, content, research, not doxing himself. Like I want someone to make a how-to channel, so that the new
Hexo.
Yeah, I mean, like the how-to, like I sponsored a little bit of what's that name? Fashion Coder. So Fashion Coder's first channel came on, and I was one of the first people that Patreoned her and said, you got to get Patreon and you got to get it going. And if they make content that is how-to technicals, how to make a good thumbnail, how to do great SEO, how to do, Instagram reels and TikTok, stories and all this other kind of crap, like that would be great, because in the background they can have their Hex logo, they can have their PulseChain logos, and their content is going to be usable by people outside of our audience, but it's people I can trust to send new people that want to make content. Like I only want to Patreon people like that. Like I want to do the creatives more than I want the ramblers or the ranters,
DJ Cryptomatic says he's doing OBS on steroids, OBS. So yes, that's how all the things go everywhere, even with the different participant chat avatars and all sorts of stuff on his streams. And just FYI, Thursday, 12/22 at 3 p.m. Eastern, DJ Cryptomatic's Christmas Hextacular. If you missed it last year, feel bad for you. Don't miss it this year. It was quite a good time.
Like, how does he avoid getting copyright strikes? Even that stuff, I don't know any of that stuff.
I think on Twitch, it's just a different set of laws or rules, I guess. So
I think as long as you don't monetize on Twitch, you're okay.
Yeah. And
that's how he's able to get away with it.
It's not like saved up there.
Yeah, it doesn't. Yeah. Yep. It's just one and done. You can't go back and rewatch them. Yeah. Yep.
So enjoy it while it lasts. That's why, catch the streams live on Twitch if they're there. So, yeah. What else we have? Yeah. Big K, man. Yeah. What do you make of this Grayscale 2-for-1 discounts on the Bitcoins that Richard has brought up quite frequently? And it keeps, the discount keeps getting steeper, because last week it was 47%, and this week it actually did hit 2-for-1. So
yeah, do you want the what I think, or
all what you think?
Okay, all of it. I'll give it all. It could. You could go lower. It could get worse. It could possibly never recover. People.
We had Buck on last week, and he was like, I'm starting to warm up to it here at 2-to-1. So it's like, how low can it go? Yeah,
I agree. It could. It could. There's some value there no matter what. But if in a world where people are very fearful of custodial, other custodians of their money, especially, then it could stay down here for a little while. It could go lower. I don't know if you're going to get a 3-for-1. I don't know if you'll ever get that low. But I could see it. I could see it going down another 5 or 10%, maybe. I don't think there's a world that exists where it goes to the trust goes to zero. There's Bitcoins that they're holding. There's, there's value there. We know that, unless the world would be where Bitcoin went to zero also. That would be the only world where that would happen. I don't think we're going to live in that one, at least in the next, 20 to 30 years. So it'll hit a bottom somewhere. Maybe, because it's tied to traditional stuff, eventually, when we get a whatever we got today from the Fed or yesterday from the Fed, when things change, or they decide to lay off the hikes,
I think that's a whole nother question.
I personally think you're going to have to see unemployment rise a lot. You're going to have to see the pause almost over from their pivot. I think at the pivot, maybe what can be considered the beginning of a bull run across all markets. But that also is probably going to be like a spike up of, buy the rumor, sell the news, and then crash down, and then a long climb up bull again once a pivot happens. So right after the pivot is usually where things crash. This is pre-crypto. This is not related only to crypto. So right now, they're still they're starting to taper off. At least on the 14th, they went to 50 instead of 75 basis points. and the pause probably won't begin before March. And then if we are fortunate, maybe 6 months of pause before, and unemployment and, strong recession has to happen before because their target is still 2%, and they don't want to have a false break in inflation like Richard was talking about earlier, pre-Volcker. So when Volcker basically punched inflation in the nose by raising interest rates, into the high teens, that's where it broke inflation. So before it gets to that runaway stage, they're probably going to continue the pause until they actually have numbers that are showing that there's time to start reversal.
Yeah, and if anyone listened to Richard's interview today, he's holding steady at 11K and pray. He's not wavering. There's a lot of YouTube streams, hexagon chartists out there saying that the bottom could be in, or we're not getting at least down to 11, 12K. But if you take that versus what the Fed came out with a couple days ago, it's quite, the pictures are quite different. And the Fed is just like basically the attitude of like, we have a long way to go and there's more pain ahead. And if that's coming in traditional markets, is that not going to touch crypto? I mean, it has so far. So it's like, how much is that going to bleed over? Because now we're back under 17K for Bitcoin. And we're what, 1,000, 1,200 above like the low this cycle? I mean, that's not much at all. It's less than a 10% move. So it's,
if Bitcoin goes into 14K land, like if it does a 15% retracement here and takes a dive, then like, yeah, of course. Like we're gonna see. I think that we could like then everyone's gonna be like, oh, I can see 11K coming. Here it comes. And it's not that far. I mean, and it tends to make these. When Bitcoin moves, it moves. I saw a statistic that said something about it. Like, it's often like the biggest moves in a year are like on 5 to 7 different days.
Oh yeah,
like it's really not. It's not like. Yes, there's gradual maneuver, in a bull market or whatever, but some of these moves are dramatic, So like, and as soon as you have one, then everyone will they'll go right back to bear mode. I mean, everyone's just doing the, hopefully we're coming back, baby. But like, it seems like a lot of hopium.
I think Freddie has pretty good experience financial about looking at what the Fed does over time. Do you have opinion about the Fed?
Man, yeah. So like as a loan officer, we would constantly watch bonds and tune into the Fed meetings just to see what the interest rates were going to do. I thought it was interesting what you said that in March you think we'll see the turnaround. So
I think that'd be the pause. I think
the pause.
Yeah.
So, but when they pause, right? Is that what Richard was talking about today? When you see they'll stop and then you see the dip come after they pause, or was it the reversal? Was it the actual
on the reversal
lowering of rates?
Usually
the actual dip.
Yeah, when they start to reduce the rates, that's the pivot.
Okay.
But the pivot plan that Powell talked about is 3 phases. So the first phase is now the first phase has begun, which it was 0.75. 75 basis, along the past 3 meetings, I think.
Right. And now they'll drop to 50 bips.
Now it's at 50. So the pause the ramping down of how quickly it's increasing is starting to happen. That's the first phase.
So we'll go to 50 and then we'll go to 25 and then we'll go to nothing.
Yeah.
And then after that, you think maybe we see a dip of 25 basis.
Yeah, points. So it's going to be, these are all lagging indicators. So they're basically each previous action, they look at the report, the following report, make a decision. And I'm guessing, and again, I'm not as financial expert about the Fed's policies, but they affect all markets. And as much as the gold bugs and silver bugs and real estate people and And bond people, they all say in the Fed. They're pretty predictable. Like, if you know that someone manipulates the horse race every single fucking time, you're like, how many times am I going to be bitching about the fact that they're manipulating the horse race before I just start betting the way that they're betting?
Yeah. Can't beat them, join them.
Yeah.
I think it's safe to say, at least from my view, inflation's peaked. Like we've seen the high, and that it's coming down now.
You don't think prices will get any higher? You think we've seen the peak of inflation?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Not 99.9% sure in my mind.
Okay.
The question is, I think, in the markets is like, how much does the Fed think that they have to do to, cut into employment? And that's the tightrope, right? So it's like, okay, well, the inflation job I think is pretty much done. We've seen the high print, whatever it was, 9 point whatever, and that's on its way down. It's going to keep coming down. But what are the after effects of these continuing rate increases?
There's two sides to it. It's not just inflation; it is unemployment, and we are very employed.
Exactly.
And you haven't seen mass layoffs, and you haven't seen that.
And that's
happen.
the tightrope,
right?
Yet, right? Because a lot of people
you've seen some, but I mean, not as big as I think we need.
Yeah. So this is the chart that I was looking at earlier today. So it's the Fed is hiking further and faster than any time in modern history. So if you just take a look at 2022 and how fast we've gone straight up versus previous hiking cycles.
I just had this debate with my realtor the other day. He showed me this exact same chart.
This is pretty crazy, and especially if inflation is in our rear view, and rates are still going up because of the employment side. This is something that isn't cut and dried at all, and it's like it's a balancing act. That's the argument for soft landing versus hard landing or crash, or how bad's the recession going to be, and it's a rolling recession. I've heard that argument. So it's like it's not like a one bullet kind of thing. Like you're trying to solve different problems.
By the way, what's going on, gentlemen? Good to see you all.
What's up?
Cool. What's good, brother?
Good to see you all. Happy holidays. You also have to look at the rubber band effect that's been going on, right? We already know, because due to Mexican stuff, we have seen what the fiat abuse has happened before. We understand how fiat currencies change hands. We understand the eclipse of both technology and the abuse of money and power, and what that does to self-deprecate its own currency. We've seen it from a Zimbabwe dollar to how the euro, it now matches a dollar in itself, where younger, it was like 1.5. Now, when you guys were talking about earlier about where that bottom is, if you look back in 18, did it really matter if you bought it at 6K or 3K when the next round of the rubber band, it ran up to 60? No. So if you look at that, it's a 50% haircut. And even now at a 50% haircut, it put it to what, like 8.5, 9, whatever the hell. But the next rubber band inherently will itself will push it forward. Now, we also have the fact that looking at that old chart you were looking, I was trying to like mock the dates to crippling cycles, .com bubble, housing bubble. And right before the COVID stuff happened, it was going almost sideways. And then like after the new rip and tear of the printing goes on, now the only way that the government inherently of itself, or even the whole global economy, is looking at things is just printing out. We do now have currency that inherently of itself gives itself value if it's done correctly outside of manipulation. Granted, everything gets manipulated, but even I forget who one of the people, it was Jamie Dimon, say it's the sexes that are failing. We see the manipulation by the corruption of the people, not the currency inherently of itself. I shared a tweet that SBF was saying, well, give them a new token for the stuff they got robbed. And someone basically said, oh, so you're going to give someone a new worthless shitcoin on top of a new worthless shitcoin. Keep going, SBF. You're going to be the chairman of the Fed next time around that you do this. Because they're playing the old same games with the old same tunes that they have. It's the same problem with elderly politicians using a law that was around when they were born that has nothing to govern the modern currency of utility of technology, money, education, finance, and utility that we didn't have before, right? You know what I mean? Back in the day, the Wells Fargo was a whole bunch of horses traveling, delivering things. Now we have internet, email, access to information. All of these things actually are changing the paradigm on how the delivery of information, currency, value, and everything inherently of a whole gets moved. So the archaic systems will go by the way of the dinosaur, and that's why they're trying to interject CDBCs. Cap and Famous had a really interesting conversation on Wednesdays that CDBCs can be welcome, they cannot be welcome, but they're going to happen regardless. What happens is that they are still going to try to possibly use the same market models, but if they're using a CDBC, now we can actually see where the kerfufflery that they're doing is. And that is an interesting paradigm that they will be put on the torch for their own stuff. You can't just now randomly spin up a whole Bank of America accounts and be like, whoopsie, we charge you for this and this. They're going to be held accountable. So
I don't think that that's necessarily true. Even when they say it's a central bank digital currency and it's very similar to other public blockchains and all this other narrative, I don't think that transparency serves governments very well. And so I don't know that you're necessarily going to be able to sleuth out any better than, this is a chart that's on screen, which is, it was interesting that previous thing that was shown was, I think the oldest was 1987, and it was, or 84, 86, something like that. And it was saying, it's increased the fastest since that date. Well, on this chart right here, you can see 80, right? Look at the interest rate then. And then you can see the gray zones, which are recessions. So you can see that recession usually follows when the pivot happens, when the interest rate starts to come down, when they actually start to decrease the interest rate. That's when you see the hard recession. That's the hard landing.
I don't disagree with you at all, Gary. And also to your point, how they would handle the CDBC is the same problem that you have with sexes. They're actually trying to control their own walled garden, and they'll use their tomfoolery there. But at least there's some kind of more transparency out, because right now technically you can't see wire in, wire out, but with crypto technically you can. Now the question is, it's just like we're looking at now with Binance on their sovereignty of their books. Other people can keep people accountable now. It's kind of wild watching the dumpster fire of Elon and Twitter, where he wants free speech, but he bans the guy that tracks his plane or any of the rest of that type of stuff. So now that more people are well armed with education and the ability to at least glean at something, more people will be held accountable, or they should at least know that people are watching now, whereas before no one was even paying attention.
It's interesting that during the last president before this one, I remember where left or Democrat sides, even people in high office, were saying this representative is having lunch here at this time, at this address, like the doxing of location services enabled, whatever, of all these different people. And, I really don't even know the use case that's justifiable about, and I know that the gray zone that they're talking about as far as Elon's plane, they're saying, well, it wasn't his actual location. I mean, it wasn't the airport. It was, he's en route to the airport. I was like,
in the air.
It's the only airport that is within a certain range. It's, I don't know that the doxing to the public world of any individual, whether they're celebrity or not, actually has use case. I know that's how paparazzis get their shots, and probably how hitmen and CIA movies, take out their targets as well.
Sure. Well, the only thing I would say to that is that we are moving into a technological age that no one knows what a Dewey Decimal System is. No one knows how to read a map. No one knows how to do all the archaic. No one knows what a farmer's almanac is. They use the technology to literally usurp their laziness or not trained ability to take the analog way to do things. So the analog way of having obfuscation, whether it be digital or hard greenbacks, or being able to escape without your GPS on your phone, having Siri or Google Phone Lady tell you where to go, is gone. And we already know that Equifax or whatever got hacked. We already know that all of our data is running around. The data is just going to be grepped and used more and more and more because we are moving more and more and more into a symbiotic full digital world, whether that's IoT devices in your house, whether that's your Tesla car not unlocking because your battery's dead or whatever the hell it is. It's just the things that we have to accept because that's the age that we live in, unless you want to be considered Amish. Nothing wrong with them. Make great furniture. They can even go and have their whatever it is where they go out, but they try to be secluded as much as they can. But you're not going to find someone that doesn't understand what the internet is. It's kind of like going back to the old days where you have a tube-based TV or what static is, or what is it? Rabbit ears, right? To make sure that you get your reception. Nobody's going to ever deal with that ever again. So thinking about using a Howey test or anything else that's not adhering to the time is like literally listening to what is it? The old man on The Simpsons yell at a cloud and expecting it to go back to change it. It's inherently where we're going as a whole society, as a whole people, and an interconnected people that now have the choice to take the data that's freely available to you. The term is you don't know what you don't know, and that is correct. However, there are now utilities, ways, and vessels for people to use said data and teach themselves. I think the decentralized education aspect that's going to come is going to usurp one of the biggest things, which is for-profit education. I'm a student loan debt slave, $250,000. No one has to do that stuff anymore. And the old tried and true ways of holding the glass ceiling over you is going to be moving regardless. Fortunately, we are a group of educated people that all have niches that teach each other our niches, so we come together as a unit. But it's the collocation of the hardening of people not giving the knowledge and then complaining on why it's unfair that will eventually eat themselves alive. It literally is the term being blockbustered.
I have a question. Does Brazology really know Morse code?
I don't.
Is that a thing?
Dot.
I really want to know that.
I mean, the only one you really need to know is SOS, right? You know, other than that, like, if you ever need to use Morse code, you're literally not sending your speed words over Morse code. You're just like bang, 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 ding, 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 bang, bang, bang. Get the fuck out.
That's somewhat true until they Morse code back to you what's your location, and you're like, shit.
All in Morse code. Beep, 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 beep.
Well, you're either that or in a submarine and have nuclear codes. I mean, that's where you're dealing with that kind of stuff. But ham radio, if you want to do something, not Morse code, ham radio.
I actually bought a ham radio like a couple years ago, like when COVID popped off and like everyone was like, oh, the end of the world is coming. It's going to be terrible. And all the guns and ammo were all gone. You couldn't get ammo anywhere. And I was like, how am I going to communicate? So it was like $19.99 on Amazon.
Freddie was setting up booby traps. He's like, I don't have enough guns and ammo, so I need to lure them in.
You got to get the Home Alone kid, right? You get the Home Alone kid in front of it, and then you get a ham radio and be like, they come and use the Bing Bad chair. But you know, funny, if you want to talk about Maximals, my grandfather did a lot of ham radios. Those motherfuckers do not play if you don't have the call sign registered that you can use your walkie-talkie. They do not play.
I have my registered like sign, like got the license. For the license was like an FCC licenses. It was like $10 for 8 years or something like that. You know what I mean? And then you can broadcast on the airwaves or whatever. I just thought it was cool.
It's actually smart to have, right? People talk about bug out bags and all the rest of that, but like,
dude, these people communicate literally around the world. It's insane. If you have a license, you can tap into the towers around you, and you can literally communicate around the world with this thing. It's nuts.
Technically, that is the first blockchain. If you want to go with my theory that the first crypto was basically EverQuest gold mining, NFTs was the first email attachment. Ham radio is technically the first blockchain. Everybody's technically connected. Utilitarian if they use the right tools to communicate at any time. They just have to follow the right protocols. They don't care as long as you don't have the wrong call sign. They're really strict about that. It's like flying a drone next to the airport.
What do? They come to your house and tell you to shut up. I mean, what if you don't do the right thing? You start broadcasting.
No, they
Well,
go. They go.
said
La
they
la
could
la
track
la
you.
la la
Yeah.
la.
That's where the truckers go breaker 19, Big K. That's where the truckers go breaker
They're coming to take me away. Haha. Play that a million times.
They say that you can track
Triangulate
the
your
radio.
location.
Exactly. Triangulate you. But you have to be actively on and broadcasting. So if you wanted to go act a fool, as long as you turn it off and do it from somewhere else and then go somewhere else, maybe, I think you're fine.
I mean, who are they? What ham? Where's the SWAT team? Ham radio people?
We should get a van without windows.
Here's an asshole. There's an asshole calling.
Hey, you know where they are? Those
call
government
signs,
funds
send out
have
the
now been
team.
transferred to the SEC, and now they waste their time doing other things. So it's like,
I mean,
you know,
I never did it myself.
What's the real danger? Is somebody gonna like? I mean, you can't even call in like somebody a pizza through a ham radio. You know, like I'm just.
Well, I mean, it
I
takes
just don't know where the money is.
5 days to transfer funds within its own company. I'm just like, how is that feasibly possible?
Listen, if there's a ham enthusiast that wants to explain how the system works,
Right.
A ham master.
I'm
I
down
don't
to
do
learn.
cell phones. I have my own portable ham radio. I carry it with me everywhere. Screw pagers. I go ham.
Oh man. So we talked about like radios and Morse code. So Briz wants to know, hey guys, have you talked about the Trump NFTs yet?
We in the green room we did, but
In
not
the
here.
green room we did,
I
but
don't think we did here.
you know, his first NFT collection sold out. So there's that, Briz. There, we talked about
They're
it for
sold out.
Oh, they sold out. It was like
Damn.
$500,000. Yeah.
Let's put the smart tinfoil hats
Oh.
on. Now, are the people that
So wait.
bought this even have crypto wallets? Did they air gap themselves that they sent it to an Ethereum wallet? Are they accepting fiat and now sending them a picture that's loosely related to a piece of paper because they don't even have an Ethereum wallet? They're taking fiat.
So all of them, the total of all of them was only $500,000.
Yes.
So literally, they were giving away a
I think so.
foursome to
Hold on,
golf
hold on,
with
hold on.
Trump. So for, if someone just wanted
giving
to
its
drop a
creators
$500,000
4.5 million.
Okay,
4.5 million.
All right. So I was gonna say, man, if it was just 500,000, I mean, I don't
saw
know
that
what
figure
Big K
somewhere, but I
paid
don't
to
know.
throw out the first pitch to win that NFT, but I think I might pay that to play a round of golf and sit down and eat dinner with Donald Trump. If that's all that it went for, but 4.5 million is a different story. I'd have to think long and hard before.
So I had thought that it wasn't. I didn't think that he actually like. I thought it was licensed out like to a company. Like I didn't think it was actually like you're gonna get to hang out with him or anything like that.
Oh no, they were giveaways. Like if you bought one, you had an opportunity to win, and there were like a bunch of different prizes for the people who bought them. So if you just wanted to buy it out yourself and just automatically win because you bought every one, I was just saying if they only went for $500,000, I'm surprised.
I like Stephen Colbert's skit on it. Did you guys see it?
What's that?
No, Colbert did this thing. Markable was telling me about it, and I thought it was a joke. And then I was in my second office, a hot tub, and I looked at the Colbert thing on it, and I'm like, holy fuck, this is real. And he's just like, all right, Yahtzee, I'm going to go in. Cowboy, fuck. All right, I'm going to pay another $99. Do it again. Because it's all random. You're not even buying anything. You're just putting a random generator to be like, spit out something. And it's like, Cowboy again. Fuck. All right, one more time. $300 going in. Eric, shit. I'd go with the Cowboy again as the fucking third.
All right. Well,
That's
we
great.
spent 3 too many minutes on that, but that was just I couldn't believe it. Well, I guess you can believe it
why
nowadays.
Not,
you know, with
everybody
with
gets an
that whole thing.
NFT, you know.
Yeah, but we did just briefly bring this up at the end of last week's show. But since we have an esteemed panel this week of more than just Buck and myself, I wanted to put this out there because this was an interesting poll that Hextronaut put out last week, and it had to deal with good accounting. And we've seen like a lot of good accounting functions run. And the poll was there's a lot of nuance around good accounting. Is it good for hexagons to good account large stakes that are bleeding out? And the results were pretty much like about as even as you get for a 250 vote poll, but a third yes, a third no, and then a third was just like, I don't really know enough about good accounting to make a decision on it. So wanted to throw this around to this panel. Is it a good idea to run good accounting on large stakes or let them bleed? I guess Big K, do you have a thought on that first?
Man.
Well,
yeah, I know. Like, you got to think about it, right?
Yeah.
Well, it's like, well, do I want the extra on the one end or do I want it on the back end?
It doesn't pay out till the execution of the contract to remove the T-share. Chrissy's been talking about this.
Yeah, so like, and so really, if you want to maximize everything about it, I'm pretty sure you'd want to wait the full 100 weeks or 50 weeks. I mean, until the stake is totally.
Let it burn.
Or is it 100?
No. But guys, what you don't realize is that
the full 100 weeks. You don't need the full 100 weeks for it to totally bleed out before you run the good accounting function, and then it would like then that would be distributed to everybody, you know. So like that would be, I think, the ideal way to do it. Unless, I mean, if somebody wants to correct me, I'm ready to be wrong.
Kool-Aid was about to jump in there.
Well, the thing is that so in game dev we have a thing called a volume that you walk into, and that executes a script. So if it bleeds out and nothing ever happens, doesn't end stake, doesn't mint, no one gets accounts it, that stuff is locked in limbo. It has to have the final function to get the payout for those things. That's why we unstake get those payouts. But when you you're removing the
Can you do that after it expires?
Everything in Ethereum takes a transaction. That's why you got to liquidate other people's stuff by clicking a button. That's why everything takes a button. You got to do something.
Yeah, so there's a button on who's got the button. Yes.
Yeah, so I mean, for the most part, if you code it right, like, you don't really want, I'm not saying you can't code stuff in there, but it's super dangerous to have stuff built in that is not clickable. Somebody's got to do it themselves.
Or are you saying that if there were 100 bled out big accounts, 100 GA functions have to happen?
Yes.
Well, so yes, exactly, correct. That is true.
It's individual accounts,
and it's like, if you don't run the good accounting function before, before it's all the way run out, like if you wait beforehand, like let's say you halfway through the stake, you know, you decide to run it, well, you're all the rest of that bleed out everyone would miss out on, and those coins would just sit in limbo, waiting for the original owner to come along and actually claim them forever, you know. So you can only GA one time, you can't GA twice. No, you can only GA one time. So once you GA, then they're safe, you know. Whatever coins are left are safe, you know. So if you want to maximize the returns for the pool,
it'll just dilute the T-shares.
Mm-hmm. Well, remember, this is a subtle nuance, which is actually clever what Richard did. They're not coins, they're T-shares. That's
the other thing too, is so like at the same time as if you unstake them, then it stops diluting the T-shares. So everyone does make more returns over time in the amount of T-shares they have. But I'm pretty sure somebody's got to do a chart on that, on like exactly where the balance, where the balance is, on how long the stake has to go to burn, how much of it to get, how much of the, you know, to make it worthwhile versus.
John Wick would be the person to, I think.
Yeah, he would be the one, I think, to answer that question properly.
Didn't he do the good accounting for one of the OA stakes?
Yeah,
like a bunch of them. Like he spent like 5 G's trying to get that done, right? He
spent $5,000 on basically so that everybody else's daily payout would be bigger.
And that's when we took the jump from like 4.85 up to 6, right?
Correct.
Per day, basically. I think that's what it was at the time. Yo, John Wick legit got everybody an extra T-share a day for like the last year and a half, or at least year, right? I feel like it's been about that long.
Yeah, it's been a little while, yeah. Which, I mean, so that's like a thing, is it's you know.
So everyone has 1 extra hex for every T-share that they have
because
for the last year and a half because of him.
An easy way to think about it is T-shares are almost like a coupon, right? So it's going to give you this thing that you rent, and it gives you yields and coupons for things that go up. If it bleeds, it removes those things going up. But if it never gets executed on the end to finalize it, nothing ever happens. The pool isn't diluted anymore. but those tokens never got minted into existence. So since they
Yeah,
never
but
got,
I mean, the when they bleed out, I'm pretty sure that those go. Where do they just bleed out? They just
yeah, you have to finalize the contract.
They get it. The math changes daily on
Yeah.
what they're
Okay. Well, yeah. I mean,
meant. So
There's
it's
a-
not actually bleeding. It's just saying that the math is changing daily.
yeah. That's what I'm saying. Is like, but where do those coins go each day? They lose 1% weekly, and do those go to the stakers? Like,
no. Here's the thing, though. It has to close the function to be able to create the minting the existence. It's like, I'm not a programmer, but you have to like end your.
Yeah. So you got to actually hit the function for those coins to be given or done or anything else. Yeah, exactly.
It's almost like they never did anything, right?
Right.
Mm-hmm. Yep. That's right.
It's a subtle nuance, but it's interesting. But it
is super interesting. I mean, and I remember talking about this
never
like
thought of it.
in depth, but like it's been a long time since whenever we start getting into the basic
4.8.
contract stuff, I'm like,
well, everyone
5.8. So it went from 5.8 to 6.2. That's right.
Okay.
Right.
So it was like, I mean, it's still pretty good.
Okay,
That's
I may have
still-
hyped that up a little more than it would be.
Still huge.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's still
Thanks, Dev Huey.
it's still a lot of hex.
Yeah. It was a big effort by John.
Thank you, John Wick. Yeah. But for him to think that through and be like, yo, let me do this. That was pretty cool. Not going to lie.
And take
So,
5Gs and plop it down.
Hexfire.io.
Yeah.
RH Max has been I've done a couple streams with them, and I'm gonna be crassly brutal that I was a bastard because the UI sucked, so I was crude at looking at it. There's so much data in that goddamn site, and it has so much weight.
Which site?
Hexfire.io. Crispy's data mining is stupid. It's stupid, and I admit that I didn't look at it because I was being artsy and like I don't like the site. It doesn't look right. But the amount of data mining in it,
Cool. I love it.
I'm serious. I
feel you.
The other day, but the amount he has all this metadata in there that you can see this stuff, and everyone doesn't talk about the T-share as much as they talk about the Hex. Hex is the bus ticket to get on the T-share train. Once you're on the T-share train, you can get Hedron, right? So like all the rest of it, if you hold liquid Hex, it's like never getting on the bus, or if you don't stake your Hex, essentially. The T-share train is the most important part. And the T-share train is what actually mints, distributes, and all the rest of the Hex at the end, which is why you have to close the function to good account.
Holy shit. So there's like 4.5 million Hex that has been good accounted that has not been minted. And there is 317,620 T-shares. That's a lot of fucking T-shares. 317,000 T-shares that have been good accounted that have not been minted yet.
But what it does when you good account it, it takes it out of the pool though, which is the good part.
Right. There's 1,260 stakes that have been good accounted as of now. Yo, this website's dope, and I feel you when you say like, the designer, the game engineer in me, the graphics guy in me. When you see this, you're like, it's kind of underwhelming. But the data is overwhelming. And
I'm gonna help them on all the art eventually when I can. But no, the data in there, and that's why I expressed the fact that I was the bastard that said the exact same thing until RH Max and Chris.
317,000 T-shares are in there right now, good accounted.
Dude, use the scrolling bar. You can actually use the bars to do your ratios.
I was gonna say, is there a way to filter out the OA data from that too? Though
he already has it in there.
Yeah, I don't know. I literally just came to the site. I don't know what
Hexfire.io is. I love Hex Daily Stats. I love all the sites have their own utility, right? And we grow all of our tools as we go. But this site, it literally is fire. It's stupid. Yeah, once you start to use the rolly bars and play around with it, and the flags take the OA in, the OA out. It even has the prospective dates on what the jumps are going to be, along with prospective price ratios. It was like what was the one we used to use back pre-big payday? The one that had the classic thing that came about that we had to
Hex.vision.
Yeah.
Hex.vision.
Yeah, Hex.vision. It's like Hex.vision on like 1,000 steroids.
and without the elastic Cabana spinny wheel.
Yeah, there you go. That's the one I was thinking of. Yeah.
Yeah,
Not worried about Cabanas.
Yes. Cabana versus Cabana. Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
Oh, I see that you have a new background, man. It's a better palm trees, a little synthwave.
But yeah, all right. Well, that was a fun little discussion there.
Yeah.
One little thing, I guess, for PulseChain and Pulse X, maybe before we wrap up for this week. So everybody is like, or at least anyone who is panicky is like, when V3, when PulseChain, like it's what Richard has heard for months and months and months now. So I guess there was this article on CoinDesk, and it's like one of two things here. So these kind of go together, in my opinion, just in terms of the upcoming ecosystem. So this one is Ethereum devs target March 2023 for the release of staked Ether. So that begged the question in some of the chat rooms that I peruse that, oh, well, are we going to wait until March now for PulseChain at minimum? Because, you know, we'll have to wait for this update to get pushed out, and then, you know, devs will have to do their thing, and then it'll get pushed back and pushed back. And then on top of that, we also have Uniswap V3. The license expires, I believe, April 1st. So would we not want to wait for that? And the cycle could keep pretty much going on, because these platforms will keep updating. So just, I know we're not like a dev crew in here, but how much influence, if any, do these target dates for these events on these existing platforms and chains do they have any effect upon PulseChain release? Or, you know, if Richard says, you know what, or the devs tell Richard, March 1st is our date, or February 15th is our date, we're going to do it, and then we will worry about, you know, these updates after the fact. Is that the way we think it'll happen? Or do we think, since we're so close now, that we could wait till like May or June? Thoughts?
So, by one more thing, Dev Huey's Hex model site, he's typing in there, also a fucking fire site. So the Shanghai upgrade isn't a full network change, which is it's like Unreal Engine 5.1, 5.2, 5.3. It's still Engine 5. So the Shanghai upgrade is pulling a version upgrade, not a state change upgrade. So even we should be able to grep the data. And again, I am not a developer on the coding side. We should be able to grep the data regardless and plug it into ours, because the state change was the big thing, going from BSC to Ethereum 2.0, right? So the date of that shouldn't include us at all as a problem, forward or backwards.
That's what I kind of had the feeling on. Like, I think it'll go when it's ready, and update. I mean, because you can wait for these somebody else's updates for a while, and then what new bugs or other things can that. You know, I think he'd rather use the battle tested what is already working, and then add the updates later. I mean, I'm just speculating, but I do think that the V3 Uniswap stuff will be cool to have. But like, it's not necessarily for launch, I don't think. So like, I mean, I hear you. I hear all of that. I don't I don't want to hear it though. But
So
it's
like-
fine. It's fine. Whatever. Like I said, if I mean, it's not that far away anyways. March, April, whatever. I mean,
It's
and
one
and
spring
those are
away.
big things. Those are big things. Like, I mean, I think that, but like, then you have to think of the theory of like, do you want to have a whole bunch of people that just recently got a whole bunch of their Ethereum fresh off of locking, you know, to be dumping prices and or, you know, having airdrops, you know, I don't know, you know, like, I don't know. I mean, I'm just spitballing things that, you know, I haven't really thought of the game theory through that much and whether you'd want it or not. So like, why bother? Why bother worrying about all that? I'd just rather go when it's ready.
Correct.
Yeah, I think that when the code is ready for V3 is when V3 test bed comes available, and then I think that there's benefit, whether it's strategic or adequate testing needs to happen before. I don't know how long the testing needs to happen, really, because I do not know the backside of this code world, that we live in, right? These are all price speculations based on what somebody else told you. Some other developer that's a secret super duper dev that says this is how long it takes, or someone else that says, hey, we're building our own product and we intermesh with the L1 devs, and this is what they say. This is all inferred, and it's all guesswork because you ain't no fucking coder, right? So when it comes to the test bed being available for the general public like ourselves to play with, that'll be great, and it'll be euphoric, and it'll give us more things to twiddle our thumbs with and play around with, and our own investment thesis, our own game theory, our own what we want to do with the future of this ecosystem. And then when I do agree, I don't know if you look at the history of Uniswap V1 and then how long that functioned before V2, and then V1 basically became dead because all the LP liquidity moved over to V2. And then you saw that V2 is still active, even though single staking or whatever, single LP on V3 became available. Like, what's the benefit of all of it being in a single pool with one PulseX launch that includes the license of Uniswap V3? Like, what's the benefit? Does that outweigh the time stall of 2 months, or is it, detriment? That's the only question I have. And I don't know those things because I haven't had those experiences. People that are in this daily all the time, analyzing what happened on other systems, maybe they have a better opinion. I'm just twiddling my thumbs like everybody else and guesswork, and it doesn't make a difference whether I'm right or wrong until it exists. I can guess for the next 6 months, but it won't make a difference on my investment thesis until it exists.
I think the biggest thing is that we at least sacrifice at the top, regardless of how long it took. And then I think with even the Uniswap from V2 to V3, technically PulseX can go PulseX V1 to V2, just like any other video game or any other software or all the rest of that. So I don't think it's necessary.
The sacrifice at the top is a good thing in that it will launch at 0. Mm-hmm. And most of the people that have something that they have in their brain about what the value was that they put into a sacrifice,
it's certainly lower than what you think you put in.
Yeah, but I mean, again, it's so if they put in, so here's the thing. I've gotten a lot of pitches, and I've heard a lot of other people asking me opinions. I get a lot of DMs from people saying they're interested, that someone's interested in buying their bag of their PLS or the PLSX points, right? And I've seen public Twitters where people that have celebrity to their, pseudo celebrity to their Twitter handle or to their YouTube streams saying the same thing. Hey, man, I'm going to go ahead and sell my bag. And, some of it is even like shit talking and so forth a little bit. But they're not so shit talking that they're asking the same price that they put in. They're wanting a premium, right?
Yeah.
And they're not even asking the same price as what Ethereum was at the time that they sacrificed, because it's down 35% or 40% from the sacrifice price Ethereum is. If you look at the date of the PLS sacrifice, which is like mid-July or whatever of 21, and Ethereum was around $1,800. And now it's 12. So like you have to look at, people say that this is taking too long and yada, yada, yada. And yet they want to make double their money on a whole market that's half the price. Like, you really haven't capitulated, man, So, yeah. So, and another comment I want to make about this idea of buying your bag or buying a bag or OTC, or someone's going to sell you their seed words and they're going to give you money after the fact. Dude, what are you fucking doing? Like, pay attention to the idiot thing that you're saying right now. Someone says, give me all your seed words and I'll give you money in, minutes after I verify that that's the right address. You need to get your head looked at. Seriously. If you're not,
there's Nigerian currency involved in it too, right, Gary?
Or if you are actually saying this has enough value for you to entertain the idea of an OTC deal, you need to have, in my opinion, even if it is relatively low value. It doesn't, it depends on your risk profile of losing and getting nothing whatsoever. But I would say you have to have full KYC, AML, both sides. You have to have a notary on both sides. You have to have full video recording of the buyer saying, this is what I'm buying and this is what I'm expecting, which is that PulseChain never, ever will ever exist and it has no relationship whatsoever. I'm simply buying this address. You need to be very clear in legal terms if you're going to entertain something like that before you transact. I hear so many people, and again, they're direct messaging me saying, how should I go about buying someone else's bag or selling my own bag? I'm like, hey, dude, you need to one, get your head looked at. And two, if you are going to proceed with something like that, you need to have both sides, legal representatives. And even then it's fraught with so much risk because you don't know that that person's security has been good all along and that they're the only holders of the keys. You don't know that.
How many pictures did they take and email to themselves?
Yeah. And you don't know that if it does disappear before you actually were able to access it, who are you going to blame? Well, it's that guy because he sold me the keys and he got the money. And he could just say, I lost it in a fishing accident or someone hacked me or whatever, like it's not my fault. There's so many bad outcomes to the limited benefit. I was, if you're going to buy in, look at what charts have done in the past, make your own investment thesis about what happens on launches, make your decision point about entries, based on maybe previous histories on other things that have launched. There's 22,000 cryptocurrencies listed on CoinMarketCap. How about spending a day or so and just looking through all of their launch, 48 hours? Look at their launch chart and make your own decision about where you would enter, right? So I think it's dangerous as hell to buy someone's bag.
Well, that's a big real genius of the HSI aspect of what Alex wrapped to the t-shirt. At least it's verifiable what you're sending and you're not giving the keys to the castle. You are actually making the transaction for this nubby to go over here and you can verify it one-to-one, but you'd still need an OTC to do that if you're not doing it through a DEX. I think people need to just stop being crazy.
Yeah.
And there we have it. So we've gone about like 90 minutes or so, and I'm happy my voice is held up, and I'm guessing Gary is the same. A little bit, yeah. I think it's a good time to wrap for this week, but we covered a wide range of topics, which a lot more than I thought we'd get to, so that's cool. Let's go around the room here.
Are we going to do a round room of like last comment? I want to make a last comment.
Oh, yeah, we can do that. You want to have your comment right now?
One is I'm very thankful for everyone that has put face to camera over the past 3 years. I think that it has been the most amazing community. It has been the most beneficial to new eyes and ears to see us actually on camera. I know that we have had people that have entered community, exit community. Some have been gone out in a blaze of glory. Some have gone out just in a blaze. Like, okay, glad that guy's finally gone, right? Sometimes we go through these phases of like vitriol and mudslinging between each other, and I really don't like that phase, but it's kind of expected in any family organization. What I don't want is people censored. I do want them to be able to speak, and I would like to hear opinions. I like hearing information. Doesn't mean that it's accurate, doesn't mean that it's truthful. It just means it's their reality that they're trying to put out there. So I actually enjoy engaging people. I'm trying not to be as much of a debate or fight as much as I'm trying to be a bridge builder. And think about this: when you try to shut down someone else or berate them or whatever it may be, or just try to bring truth or honesty to information that's being discussed, do you think that the community is better if that person just doesn't participate whatsoever and they close up shop? They sell all their coins, they disappear altogether as a figurehead. Think about it. Like, what would that future community be if the chilling effect says that guy put themselves out there and they created content for maybe years, and then they just got strong-armed enough to where it just wasn't worth it to them to do it anymore? Richard makes comments all the time about the early Bitcoiners that you just don't ever see anymore. Who is the Bitcoin Jesus again? Who is it? Like, where's that guy? He's not talking about Bitcoin anymore, right? I hear Randy Hilarski talk often about Trace Meyer. right? And Trace Meyer was very much a stronghold of not your keys, not your coins, all these other good things about cryptocurrency, and you don't see his content. I think it's because of his own project got strong on. So just like when you're out there in the Twitter trenches and when you're out there in your content creation, think about the chilling effect of the next guy that never has come on camera. I think it's awesome that Alex is going to come on camera and start making his own streams. I think that that's really cool. He's obviously a brain inside the space. And I would like the person that also doesn't have technical savvy to feel comfortable to finally come up on stage and talk about the commodity or the idea or how to make a thumbnail or whatever it is without feeling like they're targeted, So just I love this community a lot, and I try to participate as much as I can, and I love every person's individual personality at different times. I'll be like, all right, that person's annoying me. Like I will say, I think that there's certain personality that wears clown makeup and stuff like that I can't engage with anymore, because it just becomes, I just feel bad. I feel low and bad, even off camera, engaging with them. So,
and it sucks when you've had good interactions with those people in real life. Yeah. And then, we get to Twitter and on YouTube, and then it's like, man, I can't even be around you. Like, I feel you there, man. Because I had respect for the same people, you know what I'm saying? And it's like, it's so frustrating.
Yeah.
Like, bro, I love you, but I want to have your back. But, come on, man. Stop.
Yeah. I admire the passion. I love the passion, but I also want to 10x or 100x the size of the community. We don't all have to be kumbaya, but like there are like social norms about where you draw the line on attack,
Yeah.
Well said. Thank you for that, Gary. Big K, where can we find you, good sir?
Twitter, Telegram, right here. Big Gurkowski. You can find go check out Highest the Stakes.
What the fuck is up with that voice? What are you doing?
I don't know. I was just pontificating on what y'all were talking about, thinking about it all. I mean, that was a good outro, Gary. I initially thought I was going to have something to say, but no, that was well said. I mean,
okay.
Big Gurkowski, Twitter, Telegram. You can find me there. You can find me in thehightesttestakes.com. Go check that out. That's going to be exciting. Very excited for that. What else? That's it here too.
Funding Jim, thank you for that message of unification. At least I took it that way anyway. We all need that, especially in a bear market, in my opinion. Where can we find you?
Pretty much Twitter. I think I'm really only, Twitter DMs is fine. I'm not as active as others. I'm kind of in this next few months. I want to focus on my own non-crypto related businesses and things like that a bit. I am taking in the world, so to speak, as far as travel, mini vacations of sorts or whatever, just kind of living out of a suitcase for a while. And like I said, as far as throwing support toward new people in the community, especially, start your Patreon, make some content that's technically useful to, hundreds of other future people that like to talk about cryptocurrencies, like, do that kind of stuff. And I want to support you. But otherwise just find me on Twitter. That's pretty much all I need.
I'll save Freddie for last because I know what I'll get when I ask Crypto Kool-Aid, where can we find you? And he'll be like, nowhere.
I mean absolutely nothing. I come on Cameo every now and then, and I actually made it this time, Cabana. But I want to second Gary and Freddie on Freddie and I had some tips, but we met in Vegas and fucking rebuilt the relationship. Fantastic people, typing keys, things get lost in the sauce.
We met in New York, I think, before Vegas.
Yeah, we did. Yeah, we were in the limo.
Yeah.
But the thing is that when you meet people in person, it's no longer this conjecture that you don't understand everything and things get lost in the sauce. But at the end of the day, the people that are building, the people that just arrived, the people that are here, we all want to be part of something more. If it wasn't for the virus, we all wouldn't have streamed. And now we have a community of people that care about each other, not just some transactional meme nonsensey thing. And I was driving on the way back here before I hopped on stream. If you look at what's going on with the SEC stuff, the lawyered up people are literally going to set the example for everyone else. If you got something, and you don't have the ability to get into it, just do nothing. Let the lawyer people handle the lawyer people stuff. And if you have liquidity or whatever to invest in the things, but the lawyer peoples will set the standard for Hex, guaranteeing to not be a security again. It's a good thing because we're going to handle it properly. But then the other thing, if we look at the Twitter nonsense all boiling down, I'm trying to set up basically all of us to build a real digital Hexago in the Fediverse. We can do that. And there's 0 crypto nodes there, not just digital Hexago, but a place for us to actually have decentralized education, videos, utility, application. It's the one thing that we look at, just like all the other centralized utility. Yeah, there may not be a lot of people there, but guess what? It's quiet. You can find exactly what you want to have. That's actually a strategic advantage. When everyone wants to talk about Web3, but don't want to use it, we can do that. And that is the utility of all of us working together as a whole as the Katamari ball rolls down. And everyone that is someone that's been here for enough time, we're all family to go for the right thing. And that's what, no matter what him or ha goes online, ideally we want to come together for the right thing. And that's probably the most important part of anything.
Thank you for that, Kool-Aid. And also thank you for wearing a shirt that matches the show
The
colors today. So, yes.
Wait.
Got the memo. Next on to Freddie Quotes. I just want to give Freddie a shout out because he is responsible for what is scheduled to be next week's guest. And we were supposed to have this week's guest on as well, but Freddie was going to be on as well. So he graciously came on anyway, even though this week's show kind of got pushed to next week. So next week, Mr. Eric Wall will be on the show. Motley Investor is putting together, I think, a small group of folk to have a discussion. And it's the holidays. Let's come together. Let's have a fun little discussion. Yes, he's a troll, but we'll have
it should be a good show.
We'll have a good chat. But I wanted to shout you out, Freddie, for making that connection, and hopefully we'll have that set up next week. But in the meantime, man, thanks for coming on. And where can we find you?
Brother? Freddie Quotes everywhere. It's funny. So the Eric Wall thing, that's going to be dope next week. So I think maybe K4K was in the mention. Hopefully he'll be on there. And maybe John Wick.
Yeah, maybe. I think Motley reached out to a few people. What it is? I'm not. I have
any
no
confirmation
idea.
on who will be there.
He's putting it together. So
okay.
He wanted the reins, and I was just like, here you go. So
that's awesome. Heck yeah, that'll be good, man. It'll be good to see Eric Wall. He was on Corey's stream, and he's been interacting lately. Corey put on a really good stream, by the way. That was super insightful. He's a super troll, and Hexicans don't really have a favorable opinion of Eric Wall, but I love Eric Wall. Even though I had him in like the Furu eulogy as like a Furu, but dude, he's a good person. I've developed a relationship with him over the last year and a couple months or so. He's a good dude. I like him. I kind of fuck with him. He's smart. He's got a good heart. He's intelligent. Erica Wall, that's disgusting. Yo. Eric of the Wall. But yeah, no, man, like I look forward to next week's happy hour. It's gonna be fun, man. But you can find me at Freddie Quotes pretty much everywhere. Wish everyone a Merry Christmas, Happy New Year if I don't see anyone on stream before then. But hope you guys have an awesome time with family and friends over the next week or so. 2 weeks, week to 2 weeks.
Yep. Yeah, man. And thank you guys for joining. Just a couple shills real quick. RH Max is currently on with Crypto Sloth if you want to head over there after we sign off here. So they're talking a bunch of Hedron ICASA. And we shill Eric for next week. And last but not least, DJ Cryptomatic. Don't forget the Christmas special. If you watched it live last year on Twitch, it was just a fun just vibe to be around. I won't forget it. Like it was just like the energy. Just I know it's a scrolling chat room, and the Christmas tunes and all the messages for the holidays from a lot of your favorite personalities. I'm looking forward to that again this year. So it's this Thursday, the 22nd. I believe it's 22nd. Yep, at 3 p.m. Eastern time. So be sure to check that out. Thanks again to everybody here. Big K, Funding Jim, Crypto Kool-Aid, Freddy Quotes, and Motley Investors face from a plane that chimed in there. And then
an idea just popped in my head, and it was because of DJ Cryptomatic. It would be really cool if he or someone that really had a musical, like same thing with Freddie, anybody that could reach out, is what's this guy's name? Mark Riboulet. You ever see Mark Ribolet's content on YouTube? He's got a great following. He does live music creation. He's always in like a kimono.
Yeah. I've seen he
does all that stuff.
Some live like festival.
How do you spell his last name?
Ribbel. I think it's like Riboulet.
LLET. Yep, here it is.
Yeah. What's his subscribership?
2.1 million.
Yeah, it would be great if we could have like a holiday party, and like even if it's for hire, like a co-stream with him. I think that'd be pretty awesome.
He has music on here with Harry Mack.
Yeah, he's got a lot of great stuff. He creates stuff on the fly, like in his live streams, and he'll start laying down beats or whatever, and then people can. Yeah, I think that's like an interesting, because it's a market that has nothing to do with crypto. But it's just great music, great vibe, and it's pretty cool to have like a holiday thing related to that.
Do you know anyone who knows him?
He's got contact stuff. I mean, I never thought about it until now because of DJ Cryptomatic's event. But it'd be cool to have like the musical people, like Corey, Freddie, people that are musical, and I would sponsor to some degree, like a co-stream thing with that, especially if it's a holiday event. It's kind of cool.
Dude, it would be awesome to like reach out to people, like other musicians, to do art and make music.
Yeah, I think it's really cool.
Try to whip up a background really quick in like a 48-hour fucking master session if we do it. So
yeah, and it's not to monetize or anything like that. It's just like good feels and whatever. It's just that kind of stuff. Like if it's outreach that is genuine and authentic, and you're like, again, Mark, I think has grown his business great over the past 3 years. So you should look at his trend of what he's done. Great personality, and I like that kind of, like Bobby Duke Arts. I mean, there's all kinds of people that are like, wow, you made a really great subscribership off of just being a creative, and those kind of people I like to engage if we can.
Let's do it.
Anyway,
I like it. All right, well, that will wrap us up for this week. Thank you again to the panel. Thank you again, chat. You guys are awesome as always. And we will be back next week, I believe. Yes, next Friday, the 23rd, that's when we're scheduled to have Eric Wall on. And again, don't forget DJ Cryptomatic's Christmas Hextacular on Thursday at 3 p.m. Eastern time.
Is Cryptomatic going to do Thursday Christmas and pregame for happy hour next week?
I don't know. It's an awful lot, but we'll see.
Okay. I know, right around Christmas too. I'm sorry to put you on the spot, Cryptomatic.
All good. All right. Thanks, everybody. We will see you next week.